Hello, everyone, and welcome to Social Studies. As we get started today, we are going back into our TCI webpage. So you're going to be using the link for TCI. And once you go into TCI, you're going to need to log in. It's been a few days since we've logged in, so it's going to ask you to put in your password possibly again. So remember, in the teacher username, it's Hester at GloucesterTownshipSchools.com. It should pop up right away, or .org. It should pop up right away when you type RH. And then in your student username, it's your email. And then for your password, it's your capital GT, lowercase ps, and your lunch number. So once you log in, make sure you're on social studies. If it does not say social studies at the top, you need to click on classes and then click on social studies and then click on assignments. And you'll see the first one is lesson 3, geography and the way we live. And we're doing the introduction and section 1 today. So click on introduction. Once you're into the textbook for the introduction, we're going to be reading and doing the activities together in this video, or you can join the Zoom call. So geography and the way we live. How does geography affect our community? What do you think of when you hear the word geography? If you thought of maps and globes, you're right. People use geography skills to help them find places on a map. But geography isn't just about where places are. It's also about what different places are like. Look at the image of Boulder, Colorado. You can see how the land is shaped. Homes and buildings are located down in the valley. Tall mountains surround the valley, so they are covered with trees and even snow. These things are all a part of the area's geography. In this lesson, we'll read about the geography of 4 places in the United States. We'll learn what makes those places different from one another and how those differences affect the way people live in their community. So what they're talking about here is they're saying that we in New Jersey, we might live a lot differently than the people that live in this photograph of Boulder, Colorado. And that's because we're surrounded by a lot of different things. So our culture is going to be a little bit different. The way we live and our resources are going to be different. If you live in Boulder, Colorado, you're probably not going to see many fresh saltwater fish as something to buy in your grocery store, because those things would have to be shipped from the coastal regions, which we live in one. So if you were living in Boulder, Colorado, all of your fish that you would buy would either be freshwater fish, or it would have to be something that was shipped in from California, or the East Coast, New Jersey, and all the states on the East Coast. So we would live a little bit differently, and we would have different experiences than those people. So that's what we're going to be going over today. Click on next section at the bottom. So on next section, we're going to be on section 1, and section 1 says, what is geography? So we're going to go through some of the features that make up what geography is, the physical features. So if you went for a bus ride near your community, what would you see? Would you see tall mountains, flat plains? Would you see a lake or a river? These landforms and bodies of water are all examples of physical features of Earth's surface. Physical features are made by nature, not by people. They are part of the physical geography of the area where you live. So when we look at this picture, these are the physical features within a geographical area. So we have the desert, which is all sandy and not many trees. We have the mountains, which could have some snow, rivers running down. We have some green trees. These are the mountains. And then you have the valley where the river is running out of those mountains, a lake at the bottom of the mountains, the river coming through the valley, down through the plain. You have the plain, which is all grassy, not many trees. Here's just a hill, a lot different than the mountain. We have a bay, which is open to the open ocean, but it's surrounded by land. We have the coast, like New Jersey, when you go to Wildwood or Ocean City. There's an island, a peninsula like Florida, and we have the ocean. So a lot of different physical features shown in this illustration. That brings us down. It says the geography of a place includes other things too. For example, climate is part of a physical geography. Climate means what weather in a place is like, measured over time. So Chantal traveled down to Georgia for the winter break. And with that, Georgia has a lot different climate than New Jersey. So when she was traveling, she was most likely thinking, what will I bring for clothing? She would bring different clothing down towards Georgia than she would bring if she went up towards Maine. So going up towards Maine, you would say, I need really heavy clothes. It's winter time. It's probably going to be snowy. I need some boots. If you're going to Georgia, you might bring some t-shirts, maybe a long sleeve shirt, sneakers, shorts, and maybe some light pants. So you're thinking about different clothing because the climate is a little bit different. So climate is part of geography. Climate means what the weather is like measured over time. Different places often have different climates. Some places get lots of rain, while others hardly see a cloud. Some places are icy cold in winter and boiling hot in summer. Other places have mild weather almost all year round. People use many things from nature in their daily lives. These things are examples of natural resources. People use wood from trees to build houses, and they use land and water to grow food. These resources are also part of physical geography. What are some of the natural resources near our community? So we live in what's called a decidual forest. And a decidual forest is a forest where there's trees that lose their leaves every year. So when winter time comes, our trees hibernate and they use all the sugar that they created throughout the spring and summer months, and they store that sugar for the winter time. And they lose their leaves, so the leaves aren't going to be using up energy, the sugar. So the trunk of the tree and the branches can regrow in the spring to make another layer and get bigger, and they regrow new leaves. So that's a deciduous forest. So with that, we have a lot of wood that we can use in our location. So a lot of our houses are built out of wood. But if you went to, let's say, a desert location, and you were trying to build a house there, you might not build your house out of wood because there's not many trees around. So you might build your house out of stones made out of the mud that would be used from that sand in that desert area. So you might have bricks that were made out of the sand and water, and your house would look a lot different than it does in the decidual forest area. So geography plays a lot into how we use our resources. Natural hazards play an important role in shaping Earth's geography. For example, earthquakes can knock down trees and change the shape of the land. Volcanoes can create islands. Some places have climates that cause more natural hazards like hurricanes and tornadoes. Natural hazards can change Earth's surface quickly. They are also extremely dangerous. So we in New Jersey have a pretty safe environment. We don't have tornadoes, and when we have hurricanes, they're usually pretty weak by the time they get here. We don't have earthquakes that are too strong, but there are different places in our country where if you were to live there, you'd have to prepare for these type of things, whether it be having a place in your basement where you can protect yourself from a tornado or a hurricane, or maybe even having a different type of structure as part of your house instead of just wood that keeps it from shaking too bad when it has an earthquake. So different places build things based on how their house needs to be built to prepare for those type of natural hazards. So as you get down to the bottom of section 1, you notice that there's no activities that we need to complete. It was just to get the review of the different types of physical features and natural resources and natural hazards. So as long as you feel like you have a good understanding of that, you're done for today's social studies. Tomorrow we'll go into lesson 3, section 2, adapting to geography. So prepare for that. You can mark this as done and in your Google Classroom and move on. Have a great day. Palm it.